Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, I am going to be giving you my Cardano price prediction now that the Cardano Africa special has dropped. I'm going to be talking about where I think Cardano is going next, and I'm also going to be showing you a very important level of support on Bitcoin and why Bitcoin absolutely must hold the level of $52,400 and change if it wants to remain in an uptrend that it started just a couple of days ago. Guys, we have a lot to talk about in today's video. I think you're going to get a lot of great value out of today's video. If you do enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started on the Cardano chart. As you may know, Cardano has been in a consolidation pattern over the last couple of days. Same as we saw on Bitcoin, there is currently an inverse Batman symbol going on Cardano, and that inverse Batman symbol has a price target of above $1.50. You guys can see right here that this is the rough neckline for this inverse head and shoulders pattern, except in this case, we actually want to draw that to the upside as this is a bit of a skewed inverse H and S. I still think it's valid even though it's skewed, but that is something for us to keep in mind. If we use this as a price target, we are going to find that Cardano has a price prediction sitting up here around $1.90. We are going to come back to that number here in a second, but first I want to talk about the consolidation pattern that Cardano is in. As you guys can see, Cardano is trending to the downside and has a level of resistance around $1.36 to $1.40, pushing it down. We also have an uptrending level of support right here constituted by this high over here, this low, these two lows, and then just now we've fallen below it. So if the inverse head and shoulders pattern, or the inverse Batman symbol as it looks like on the Cardano and Bitcoin chart, is predicting roughly $1.90 Cardano, why are we breaking below our uptrending level of support, and where do we head next? Well, let's go to full screen. I want to discuss something really briefly, and that is this. The technical analysis is short term. The fundamental analysis is long-term. You guys already know my long-term Cardano price prediction. I think that Cardano is going to between $8 and $15 in the next year or two, based due in large part onto the fundamental developments that are going on in Africa right now, many of which we saw happen and saw get announced during that Cardano special not that long ago. We talked about this in today's stream earlier. We talked about how Cardano Africa, you might not have liked the event all that much, but at the end of the day, what they talked about was actually incredibly good. So the long term for Cardano looks good. The medium term for Cardano also looks good because of our inverse head and shoulders pattern. But what happens next? Let's jump back to my chart and let's discuss that. If we look out here on the daily chart, we are going to be able to see that Cardano looks like it's about to have a bearish cross on the MACD. This is something we need to pay attention to. This MACD is converging on itself, and if it does cross bearish, is likely going to extend the time it takes for us to get to that short-term price target, short to medium-term price target of $1.90. But I would also like to point out to you that Cardano is sitting at 51 on the RSI, and Bitcoin is sitting at 46 on the RSI, but Ethereum is sitting at 77. So as Ethereum has been eating up market dominance over here, sitting at 17.4%, while Bitcoin and Cardano are losing market dominance to Ethereum and some of these other larger altcoins, we have to ask ourselves, at what point does Ethereum stop rallying and that value go into Ethereum and into Cardano and Bitcoin? I think that might be sooner rather than later. So yes, we very well may see a bearish break to the downside here on Cardano, but I don't think it's going to last that long. In fact, here on the 4-hourly chart, if we look at this right here, we will be able to see that we are below the 20 exponential moving average, but out on the daily chart, we are still above it. In fact, that's exactly the level that we're sitting on. The 20 daily EMA is basically our uptrending level of support right now. Cardano has a decision point that it has to pay attention to in the same way that Bitcoin has a decision point that we're about to talk about. In a lot of ways, the Cardano chart and the Bitcoin chart are very similar right now. Cardano needs to hold above the 20 daily EMA and bounce. Also, one final thing that I will say before I draw my conclusions on this is that this is an uptrend that moved into a symmetrical triangle pattern. This has a 70% chance of breaking to the upside based on the statistical analysis that you can learn in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy in this video right here on wedges and pennants. Triangle patterns break in the direction that the market moved into them 70% of the time. So let's go to full screen, and I want to give you my conclusions. Number one, the long term on Cardano is very bullish based on the fundamentals. We've talked about that. Number two, the medium term on Cardano is very bullish based on the inverse head and shoulders pattern, and I think we're going to be going to between $1.80 and $1.90 based on that inverse head and shoulders pattern, and also based on those long-term fundamentals. Short term, we need to see if Cardano is going to break bullish or bearish out of the symmetrical triangle pattern. If it breaks to the downside, I'm going to give you a rough estimate of about $1.20, maybe $1.15 correction. I don't think that's going to happen. Down to $1.15 and $1.20. I'm not saying it's going to correct over $1. But if it breaks to the upside, then we're likely going to be heading towards that $1.80 mark. I think the latter of those two is more likely. I think it's more likely Cardano breaks to the upside in the next couple of days, but time will tell on that. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump back onto the chart. I want to show you something very important on Bitcoin, because right now, Bitcoin has done something that we don't want to see happen on Cardano, but it has happened on Bitcoin. As of today, Bitcoin has broken below the 20 daily exponential moving average. You can see right here, it was sitting at $55,700. Bitcoin has now broken that. What we're talking about today is actually very important for this inverse head and shoulders pattern. As you guys know, Bitcoin has an inverse head and shoulders pattern that has a price target of, if I remember correctly, roughly $68,000. This price target up here, we should be moving to over the next 14 days or so. So why are we moving to the downside? We have our left shoulder here. We have our right shoulder here. We have our head here. What gives? Why is Bitcoin dumping? Why is Bitcoin down from $59,000 all the way down to a local low of $53,200? It's down 10%. Let's take a look at this. Well, there's something very important that you guys need to be aware of, and that is this level right here. This right shoulder bottomed out at $52,400. That's where I get that number from in the title. This is a decision point. Let's back up and let's talk about trends for a second. A trend is very simply something that repeats. In technical and market analysis, you need to be looking for trends. That is the basis of how we analyze these charts. One kind of trend is called an uptrend. That is a trend that is pointed to the upside. An uptrend is constituted by higher highs. Look at this, we have higher highs, and higher lows. Look at this, we have higher lows. The reason this $52,400 level is so very important is because if Bitcoin comes down below $52,400, then that will be a lower low. Notice how anything below $52,400 would constitute a lower low. If we bounce where we are right now, that would constitute a higher low. We're in a shorter term downtrend. This is what you would call a secondary movement, but the primary movement is still to the upside. Notice how the primary movement is to the upside, but the secondary movement is to the downside. This means that this secondary movement is antithetical. It is against the flow of the large movement. For example, this larger movement, we could attribute this as like the tide. The tide is coming in, but on this one right here, we have a bit of a wave and it's coming out. It doesn't mean the tide isn't going up just because a wave is receding, but it does mean that, well, the wave is receding. The question is that wave receding an indication that the tide is shifting, or is it just a wave receding? That's what we want to find out. And that is all going to be determined by whether or not we set a lower low below $52,400. So what is the likelihood that that's going to happen if that's so important? Well, we can see that Bitcoin is rejecting off of the 24-hourly exponential moving average. For everyone in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, we have a video on that moving average right down here. It is incredibly important and something you need to be paying attention to on every single time frame. Notice how when we bounced off of it right here, we rallied. When we bounced off of here right now, we rallied. When we broke above it, we rallied. Resistance touches, we rejected from it. It is an important indicator, and that's why it's the only indicator I have on my chart as of the moment. Us rejecting off of this does indicate downwards movement. It does indicate a short-term secondary downtrend, like that wave we talked about. So where's the bottom? Well, let's look at the RSI, because the RSI is a fantastic indicator for us finding the bottom. I was looking at going into a trade on Bitcoin earlier, and I was a bit confused. I was like, do I want to go into a long trade or a short trade? I didn't want to go into a short trade because the tide, if you will, like we talked about earlier, is moving to the upside. It's bullish, but there were a lot of different factors saying that the short term, that wave, was receding. It was saying that Bitcoin was slightly bearish. So I just didn't make a trade because I wasn't sure. And you don't want to make trades if you're not at least somewhat confident. I didn't feel very confident. And it turns out the feeling I had about 8 hours ago when I was getting into the market to trade was accurate, because I was looking at it right up here when RSI was sitting around 43. We've now bottomed out around 36. So that to be said, what is the likelihood of a bottom coming in at 36? We can see on the history of RSI, we have a bottom here at 35. We have a bottom here at 32, a bottom here at 37. Many of these bottoms happened down at 26 and 21. Some of these happened over here at 28 and 32. The likelihood of us bottoming out at 36 is not great. We're probably going to go down just a little bit more than that if any of these have anything to say about it. We can see the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bottoms roughly had an average bottoming out point. I'm not going to show you the math, but it comes out to around 31. So likelihood, we should be seeing RSI pull back a little bit more, which would mean the chart would pull back a little bit more. All of this to back up the claim that I'm about to make, that I think Bitcoin is going to bounce off of $52,400. I don't think it's going to go below it, but I think we're either going to bounce a little bit above it or bounce bounce on it and double bottom, and then Bitcoin will rally. If I'm wrong on that and Bitcoin breaks $52,400, we should be looking for a $47,000 Bitcoin, as that is our next major level of support. So let's go to full screen. Let's discuss that. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin in the long term. I'm very excited about where Bitcoin has gone over the last 6 months. I think the medium term for Bitcoin is actually very healthy as well. But Bitcoin needs to break $65,000. Why is that? $65,000 is our current high. And remember, the way we define trends is by setting higher highs and higher lows. Just a couple of days ago, we set a new high of $59,000. That new high of $59,000 is lower than our previous high of $65,000. We don't want to set a lower low below $47,000, which is our current bottom, because that would indicate we're going into a longer-term downtrend. We don't want to see that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't really want to. I'd like to see Bitcoin's market continue to rally. So I want to see Bitcoin move to the upside. All of this is going to come down to the question, can Bitcoin hold $52,400? That is a question we will keep you up to date on here on this channel, so make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content if you haven't already. By the way, if you want to learn how to read charts the way that I just showed you, and you want to go a lot deeper in your education around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technical analysis, I highly encourage you to sign up for the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy with the link in the description box down below. We actually just started a new sale on CT2A called May the 4th, 2021. You can find the coupon code on the landing page, and you can also find it in our description. That's going to get you $66 off as a reference to Order 66 from the Clone Wars for CT2A. Guys, nearly 3,700 students have gone through the Academy, and they are loving every minute of it. If you watch any of our streams, I will ask people to give testimony as to whether or not they like the Academy, and every single person that responds is always saying that CT2A changed their life, or CT2A gave them the skills to become a profitable trader and investor. It is worthwhile to invest in yourself. The reason the most successful people in the world spend so much time on self-improvement is because I truly believe, and they know, that the best investment you will ever make is an investment in yourself. So consider signing up with the link in the description box down below. Make sure to follow us on social media at CryptoJebb for more updates. We have a lot of fantastic, amazing things coming out relatively soon. And if you're looking for a great trading platform, I recommend none other than Bybit. You can find that link in the description box down below as well. When you sign up with Bybit, you're going to be getting access to a fantastic exchange while also helping to support this channel. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.